Throughout history, humans have always asked, what's over the horizon? Is there more than this? Infinity is a concept so easy a child can understand, but scientists have been unable to tame it.
The assumptions and all of the basic common sense things that you take from like knowing about the world and the way you experience reality just kind of goes off a cliff once you start talking about infinity, and you get logical answers that don't make sense.
What is infinity?
When I hear infinity, I think of Buzz Lightyear from Toy Story. So like infinity and beyond, always having all those different adventures.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
15, 16, 17, 18, 19, yes.
2, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107.
201, 202, 203, 204, 205.
Billion 1, a billion 2, a billion 3, a billion 4, a billion 5. Can I take a breath now? A billion 6.
1, a googolplex and 2, a googolplex and 3, a googolplex and 4, a googolplex and 5.
Right now.
100 trillion, billion, I don't know.
All the odd numbers. And that's an infinite set. There's an infinite number of odd numbers. And so they walk up and they go to the Infinite Hotel and they say, hey, you guys have, and the Infinite Hotel happens to be completely empty right now. And you say, hey, can you give us rooms for all of our odd numbers? And each of us wants a room. And they say, oh yeah, absolutely. And so the odd numbers walk in and each one of them takes a room and it extends all the way to infinity and the hotel is full. Well, the even numbers hear about this and they're not having any part of it. They're not going to let the odd numbers have a vacation that they can't take part in. So then they come up and they say, hey, we've got this infinite set here of even numbers and we'd like to stay a night in your hotel along with the odd numbers. And the concierge, they're like, oh my God, well, we can fit you, but we're going to have to make everybody move. So, evens are like, okay, well, we really want to stay. So the concierge goes along to all of the rooms. One is allowed to stay in one's room, and then the number 3 is in the next room. And so he knocks on the number 3's door and says, hey, can you move one over? Well, then the number 2 is able to go into that room, and so on and so on and so on. And so every single odd number only has to move over one room, and then all of a sudden, there's room for all of the even numbers. And they all get seated in, and they're happy, and happy as clams. And then all of a sudden, all the negative numbers walk up, and they say, hey man, I'm not gonna let that happen. We've got this whole negative number line that goes out that way, and we wanna have fun with all the other numbers. Well, all that would be required is for every single number, again, to move over 1. So the concierge goes down and knocks on every single person's door and says, hey, I'm really sorry to do this to you guys, but can you move 1 over? And then all of a sudden the entire negative number line fits, and you've got negative numbers, even numbers, odd numbers, and then it just keeps going and going and going. The Infinite Hotel can fit other infinities inside it. And that's one of the things that's just profoundly odd about the number infinity.
Galileo tried to explain the infinite using the circle. He drew lines through the midpoints and connected the sides of the circle. Eventually, you will see that the circle is made up of many infinitely small lines. But this creates a paradox, because when you draw a bigger circle outside the original circle and extends the lines to meet the larger circle, there are gaps. But this makes no sense, because if there are infinitely many lines, there should be enough. At which point Galileo said, we cannot understand the infinite. Let's use the concept if we must, but let's not try to understand it.
Inequalities, multiplication, or addition and subtraction. It doesn't make sense, because it's which one is bigger? So if I subtract infinity from infinity, it's still infinity. Or if I had to, an inequality, and one side comes out to infinity, and the other side comes out to infinity, which way is that supposed to point? It doesn't make any sense. So the thing is that infinity comes up in equations all the time. You know, if you divide by 0, you know, we have no reason to think that that's not possible. But then once you divide by 0, all of a sudden you have all these things that don't make sense with respect to the number system, the algebra, and all the things that we've set up mathematically to model reality.
When infinity is put into practice with our universe, bizarre paradoxes occur. Let's take for an example a universe made up of only 2 elements, pennies and nickels, and they only can be arranged 4 different ways. This universe can only have 16 original combinations. After that, any way the molecules are arranged would be a replica of one that already exists. This concept can be put into practice with our universe, and if it is truly infinite, your doppelganger could be out there in distant space right now.
The universe is incomprehensible by human beings, and to me that kind of is synonymous also with being just infinite.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's no end that I think that the human beings.
It's like being a really small red ant on like a huge basketball. You know, you keep going and it looks flat and it looks flat, but the more you go with the curvature of it, and eventually you're going to start back where you're going to end up back where you started.
The way in how we use how we're expanding our base of knowledge.
Infinity is a concept that has driven scientists mad. Maybe we will just have to realize that there will always be something over the horizon.